and the boys began to giggle uncontrollably. "You enjoying watching us, boys?" Nina's eyes seemed to be red as somehow. In reply, the boys just burst out laughing. "I think they are." Kate spat a blob of half-chewed steak at the laughing pair. It landed on the bed and Billy flicked it off onto the floor and guffawed loudly. As the boys watched, the light seemed to dim around them, until there was just illumination over the girls. Kate looked in their direction and smiled as she chewed the blood from the raw meat around her mouth, and on her teeth, making the smile appear somehow perverted, evil. The steak was disappearing fast as the girls greedily tore at it. Their teeth seemed bigger. Hair was slowly appearing on their arms, and as they chewed, they grunted loudly, like wild animals at the zoo. "This is some shit, man," Max heard his words. "You come and see what I can see, Billy boy." One 2-pound steak remained to be consumed, and the girls glared at each other, as though daring the other to take it. Suddenly, all hell broke loose, as they clawed and fought over who should have the last tidbit. Great gashes appeared where the sharp fingernails cut into the flesh, and blood oozed forth, splattering in all directions. The fighting only abated when the steak was torn apart and greedily gulped down. Now the girls turned to face their audience. As the boys watched through dope-affected eyes, an appalling metamorphosis occurred. Huge claws began to replace the lacquered fingernails. Their heads cracked and creaked as the bone structure altered dramatically to accommodate elongated canine snouts. Mouths yawned wide, and a formidable array of huge fangs grew out rapidly from pink gums. Fangs that were stained with blood from the steak, still clinging to them. With a final, terrifying howl, the claws exploded from their bodies, and their evil, red, glowing eyes rested on the boys. Long wet tongues slid over salivating lips in anticipation of the coming feast, as the hideous creatures began slowly approaching their prey. It wasn't until the foul stink of the animals hit them that the immobile pair on the bed managed to separate reality from imagination. Billy was the first to react, quickly pulling his gun from his pocket and thrusting it forward towards the targets. Unhappily, his drug-induced state made him lose all coordination, and the weapon snagged badly in his ruffled shirt. As he squeezed the trigger, the barrel jerked downwards, and all he succeeded in doing was shooting himself in the foot. The shot caused the gun to fall from his hands onto the floor, and, screaming in agony, he grabbed at the injured member in an effort to stop the pain. By now, Mac was alert to the situation, and he at least managed to get off a shot that hit Nina square in the chest. She stopped momentarily and waved her finger at him, as though scolding a naughty child. Then, incredibly, she pushed her first finger and thumb into the bullet hole, and after some digging around, retrieved the spent bullet, with a hideous grin on her face, and tossed it back to him. The Kate Wolf had hold of Billy by the throat, and effortlessly hoisted him from the bed, where she held a choking, writhing youth out at arm's length towards her grinning sister. In one gut-wrenching show of awesome strength, Nina's powerful arm flashed across the gap between the sisters, hitting the youth square in the chest, her extended fingers ripping through flesh and bone and burying deep into Billy's exposed torso. The boy's terrible screams were instantly cut off as Nina wrenched out the still-beating heart, pumping its last dregs of life-giving blood over the hair-covered, sharp-clawed hand. Huge canine teeth clamped down on the useless organ, tearing it apart, the taste of it making her eyes half-closed in bestial ecstasy as she savoured the delicious trophy. Kate dropped Billy's lifeless corpse to the floor, where the she-wolves fell upon it, tearing and biting at the unresistant form. For the moment they ignored the other boy, as they greedily feasted. He was being left for the leader of the pack. While they were busy with Billy, Mac took his chance to escape. Stealthily creeping from the bed, he made a hurried dash for the door where, just as quickly, he stopped in his tracks. The light shining out from the doorway, but not very long had seemed so inviting, now held his worst nightmare in its warm glow. Waiting for him were two more of the monsters. One a huge creature with teeth like a great white shark, the other a scrawny runt of a beast with matted fur, just as ugly, just as mean-looking as his partner. The skinny animal squinted at Mike, its scrawny neck stretching forward towards the boy. "Where is he? I can't see much without my glasses. I'm hungry. Is he here?" The voice was ancient, primeval almost. It licked its dry, cracked lips in anticipation, and its eyes darted from side to side, trying to seek the trophy out. No good you running, boy. If I could smell you, I bet you sure smell good enough to eat. The giant wolf calmed its smaller ally. He's here, Brother Henderson. Soon, very soon, we shall all eat. Mac let out a cry of utter despair as the gun dropped from his fingers and bounced across the wooden boards. Falling to his knees, he began to sob like a child. It was useless to resist, and kneeling in the dim light from the shack, the boy waited for the end to come as he knew it must. The breathing of the Henderson and Bronevski wolves drew nearer, ever louder, and just as he felt the first warm caress of that evil stinking exhalation brush his skin, a shot rang out from the woods. At the moment of impact, the Henderson creature's head was blown into 1,000 pieces, the blood and brains exploding in a red mist that floated quickly away on the light breeze. As Henderson fell to the ground, Bronevski spun around to confront the attacker. Another shot, and the great chest burst apart, spewing its contents into the air. Bronevski howled in agony, but refused to go down with his partner. Instead, he took a step towards the sound of the shot, determined to get the gunman who thought himself bold enough to challenge him. A twig snapped by the daring adventurer stepped out from the woods and into the dim light. The stranger was tall, every bit as tall as Bronevski, and dressed all in black, his long frock coat brushing the floor as he moved towards the Bronevski wolf. On his head he wore a wide-brimmed hat that cast a dark shadow over his face. But most significant of all was a huge caliber gun in his hand. Another shot split the night air, but Bronevski must have sensed the danger, and with incredible speed and agility for someone so big, he vaulted over Mac's head and disappeared into the shack. Mac heard a noise behind him, and without thinking dived from the veranda, just as a sharp claw tore open the back of the sweatshirt. Rolling over in the dust, he saw Kate in her human form, completely naked, silhouetted against the doorway. "Help at last!" she cried. "Thank God you came!" Her breast trembled in the pale light as she sobbed loudly. "Oh, how can I ever repay you?" Kate's return to normality was an instant and, on many past occasions, successful way of putting men off guard. But one thing she could not change was the colour of her eyes. They still possessed a deep red glow. The stranger was not taken in by her deception. "You can die," he answered coldly, and another shot rang out, blasting the beautiful face apart, killing Kate instantly. A loud crash came from inside the filthy shack. Without hesitation, the man rushed in to see what had caused it. In the far wall was a newly smashed hole where Bronevski had made his escape, but the route was well defended by the Nina wolf who stood her ground, denying the stranger any opportunity to give chase to her leader. Suddenly she lunged at her enemy in a frenzied attack. She had forgotten about the gory mess left from the remains of Billy Lapowitz. The moment her padded feet hit the slick wet blood and entrails, her leg went anywhere but where she wanted them to go, and she flopped belly first onto the floor in front of the stranger, growling and howling in sterile anger, pure hatred flashing from her vile features. With a cold nonchalance that, under any other circumstances, would have appeared macabre, he fired the gun into her upturned face and ended her sickening existence once and for all. Mac was still sitting in the dust, his whole body trembling, shaking with fear, expecting at any moment to be breathing his last. Even when the stranger came back outside, he still expected to see the unholy shapes following, looking for fresh blood. The stranger dragged him roughly to his feet. "You okay, boy? They didn't scratch you?" He spun Mac around and checked him over. "You were lucky, boy, damn lucky. One scratch and you'll be joining those animals." Mac looked at the smoking gun and knew what he said he meant. Mr. Bronevski again, damn it. "Next time, Bronevski," the dark stranger shouted into the woods. "You can't hide forever. I'll get you, you murdering bastard!" That's it for this week. See you next week.